So finally, it is travel day to get to Amubri. You can see I'm very happy that I won't be carrying all three of my bags. I did negotiate with, you may recognize, my singing driver, Manuel, and he brought his wife, Erika.
Erika.
He was very excited about making this trip and driving. Pretty excited about the beautiful Puerto Viejo, and his wife has never been. So, yeah, I was delighted that he asked if he could bring her. The price we negotiated was $200. I may have been able to get a cheaper price if I'd shopped around some, but I enjoyed him. I always feel like whatever I can do benefits someone else also. So, especially in Costa Rica, like every tip, everything is really so greatly appreciated and I think needed. So, just like any road trip, I think I'm going to have an opportunity to talk through this and point things out. Yep, that was a great place we stopped at for
a very good place.
Lunch. That's about the halfway point, actually. You go from San Jose, put in your navigation to go from San Jose or wherever you are to Suretka, Suretka, Suretka. And that's the little town where you cross the river to Amubri. So my driver was not familiar with Suretka. He kept using Puerto Viejo as a reference, and I did assure him that it was further. Aren't they cute? Traditional for the area, ground beef, rice, vegetables. That could be potatoes or squash. And so let's just talk a little bit about Costa Rica. I'll just share some of the things that I know. That's what we would do on a road trip, right? We would chat a little bit, look at the view, cross some rivers. Quite a bit of traffic coming back on this Easter weekend. And that's not even, that was just a little bit. Like the big exodus will happen in the following days. This I wanted to slow down and show you, like they cut branches, take the branch, stick it in the ground. Yeah, just stick it in the ground. And then, you know, it's a rainforest. Everything is living, so they grow. They grow from the stick in the ground. It'll grow into a row of trees that creates a fence line. Isn't that cool? I just love it. So a couple of things I wasn't sure if they knew, and we did discuss, and it turns out the wife had been talking about this before I brought it up, had been talking with him, but in Spanish, so I missed it. But so we were discussing the banana trucks and the banana industry. I no longer purchase Dole or Chiquita bananas at home, if any of you have noticed. And the reason is a couple of reasons. So, one, they have been using terrible chemicals, you know, Roundup. It's really bad, guys. It's really bad. It does cause cancer. It causes cancer like CLL, leukemias. The people that have used it here to spray the bananas have been very, very, very sick. And the companies won't do anything about that, of course. Profit margins. In fact, there was a man that I met at the airport. I was going to rent from him. It was our first trip. And when we were stuck at the airport when Delta went down worldwide. So we were stuck there for about 15 hours, and we met this man who was from Costa Rica, and I talked with him about renting his property in the future for our trips. Well, he turned out to be, I'd emailed him back and forth, and then I saw his name in the news because he, among others, are wanted for funding death squads. They don't want people talking about the horrible, evil, inhumane practices, and so they just kill them. Yeah, so I don't buy Chiquita or Dole bananas. Now you'll notice in Amubri that the Bribri are harvesting bananas. The ones across the river are organic. They already established that arrangement. The Bribri will not have chemicals. So they do work for some of these companies. They supply, they gather the bananas, and then the company comes to take the bananas. Theirs are organic. So that's going on in the country. And there's another thing that we noticed was the fishing industry, and I'll see if I can find the news article that I can put in here as a picture-in-picture, pop that up for you. Maybe not, we'll see. But they have a problem. Okay, so they hired the Chinese to come in and build a stadium. Boom, bam, it was done. I mean, very efficient, right? These guys are very efficient, known for it. So very quickly they built this stadium. Well, the Costa Rican government, or the people, I'm not sure how it all went down, didn't want to hire out to the Chinese again, and so they're doing it themselves. This next project, the next project is widening the road that we've been on. That's what all the construction was. So I asked, I had been told before that they did hire the Chinese, but you never see anyone who's Chinese. And so I asked them about that, and they said, no, they did not hire the Chinese for this project. The Ticos, the local Costa Ricans, are doing it and, keeping those wages within the country. I understand that, totally get that. But it's taking a long time, a very long time, much, much longer than it would if they'd hired. And so there's complaints, there's some disagreements in the country about that. The concern, the article I read was about fishermen. So the Chinese will come into the waters around here and do fishing, and they promise great pay for the Chinese that sign up for the job. It's really hard, you're away from the family, you're on this ship for a long time, but it's going to be worth it because you're going to make this really good money that's going to help your family in a big way. The problem is that they were finding that they bring these workers, and then when they're done working, they throw them overboard. Yeah. Okay, we are getting through the town of Bribri now.
Turn left onto Route 801.
Yeah, it would be very interesting to find out which companies practice, murder. I don't know. I think for me, I learn a lot of things like that, things that are going on in the world when I get out of the States. It's more.
16 kilometers.
Yep, we turn left here. We're headed to Suretka. This is so exciting. We're getting close. So Bribri is, let's see, if you were to take the bus, which is how we did it the first time, you'd get the bus from San Jose. The bus system is called Mepe, and you can download an app with all of the schedules. Really great, I'm told. And so you take the bus to Bribri, and in Bribri you hop off the Mepe bus, and there's a local bus that you can catch to Suretka. You'd probably have to ask the bus driver when you get off the Mepe bus, you know, to point you in the direction of the bus to catch to Suretka. And you probably want to start early in the day because it is 5 to 7 hours from San Jose to Bribri, and then you know, you want to make sure the buses are still running, especially those little small buses that will, you know, small town buses, the one that's going to take you to the river crossing in Suretka. And so, believe it or not, it goes on this rocky mountain road and gets you to your destination. This was all very exciting for Manuel. I just enjoyed him so much. The singing, his kindness, he loved his wife. He talked about his wife and his children when he picked me up. And honestly, like, I would charge $200 to drive someone for 5 hours, and then I've got to drive back home 5 hours, or 6 or 7, you never know. There had been a lot of mudslides from the rain, and so I was delayed a day. They clean them up real quick, but with more rain, that means more mudslides. It could be dangerous. And the rain, I mean, yeah, okay. A lot of us have driven in rain and snow. It is not the same here when, I mean, it's just like a constant bucket pour, like a complete deluge of just rain pounding upon you. Windshield wipers can't keep up. So I was considering the bus for safety. Those guys know what they're doing. And a little car runs into you, you're probably not going to get hurt. I opted out of the rental car. Also, I thought, oh my gosh, it's going to be a struggle on the bus with my 2 big suitcases and my backpack, and my bags. So this air-conditioned vehicle, Manuel to help me get my bags. I don't have to switch buses. I wasn't sure about the availability of buses with this being Easter weekend. Very, very well celebrated here. Everyone has the day off. All the families go to the beach towns, so all the locals take over the beach towns, camp on the beaches. It's wonderful. There it is. There's our river. Rio Toriri. That's what I'm crossing. That's the mountain we're headed toward. There's the jungle. So, yeah, for pretty inexpensive, you can get on the bus from San Jose to Bribri, then the other bus to Suretka, then grab the water taxi right there to cross the river, and just say Rojer Blanco, and you're good to go. This was adorable. This little tunnel here. I've gone on another road when Gail has driven me, but when I came by myself, this was the way navigation took me. So yeah, we stopped for some photo ops for Manuel and Erika. They were just really enjoyable. Okay, so like the Chinese, you know, kind of typical stories of wealthy getting wealthier on the backs and lives of the poor, right? So let's talk about the Bribri. Last time we were here, my friend Shannon asked if the tribe had, since they have reservation land, can they not have their own police or school system? They've made some advancements there, but there had been some restrictions. This question came because we had learned that at the time, the kids are required to learn Spanish in school and not their own language, and they were required to have band. And I thought, oh, that's great. Because their drums are very important to their traditions, their culture. They could use those. But he said, no, they cannot use their traditional drums. They have to use the ones provided by the school, and they had to learn the country's national anthem. So it's just awful. It's just awful. No, don't practice your culture, your heritage. Don't have pride in the things that are meaningful and sacred to you. Learn the national anthem with this instrument. Anyway, it just, these things really anger me. I understand that I think largely because of Hey Dare, and I hope I get to share more about that in another video. That's not the case anymore. I think that they do get to learn their language, and they do get to use their drums in the school that is in Amubri or in their different villages. Isn't this fun? I realize now that he was offering to hold the camera up there for me, and I would have taken him up on that, but I wasn't catching that that's what he was offering. So, little river crossing. This is just like my husband and I when we go rock hounding in Idaho. A little crossing of the waters. Okay, so back to the story. So she'd asked the question, can you not have your own police or politics, right? And Roher told us that the last indigenous government was over 100 years ago. They have land, but no decision rights. That about, more than 100 years ago, Costa Rica government, and I don't know if he really means the Costa Rican government or the federal government of Latin America or whatever it was, wanted to sell the land to America for bananas. So they killed 4 Bribri leaders. Everyone went back to the mountains. I'm reading notes that I took very quickly during an interpretation. So some things may be inaccurate, but we're going to do the best I can. All the Bribri and Kabakar, all went back to the mountains to hide. The Bribri used to live on the coast and fish, but they were all pushed back because those leaders were killed. Now they had no political representatives with the Costa Rican government. There was a government representative from outside the territory, but they just got pushed into the mountains. 1914 I have here. They have so many. Live where one wants to live. Religion arrived, school and medication, and that took them away from their life. They had help of spirits, water, nature that protected them. So when the banana company arrived, the snakes had nowhere to go, so they came. And the Bribri kept getting bit, so they asked for help from the 4 sacred rivers. Yeah, that's where I usually park when I come here. I'll park the rental car when I'm only staying a couple nights. But today, moving forward, the Bribri kept getting killed by the snakes. So they asked for help from the four sacred rivers and they flooded. So the bananas wouldn't grow there. And that's why there's no banana plantation in Amubri. The rivers answered the prayers of the Bribri, flooded, and the bananas can't grow there. So the banana company didn't want the land, so guess what? They get to keep it. Or use it anyway. So Erika, Mother Earth, created a disease that turned the banana trees all yellow. And the company left, and they all healed. My friend Shannon also asked, what do you want us to walk away with? And they said,
I say goodbye to my friends.
that they're here, that they exist. The Bribri exist. That's what they want you to know.
Gracias.
They're here. They have knowledge to share with you.
Oh.
They are in such connection with nature. They are protected by nature. They are supported. They really, truly believe that and have evidence, you know. The rivers flooded so that the banana companies wouldn't be interested in this land. And then Erika, the earth girl, sent the disease. But once the banana companies pulled out, the disease went away. So that's evidence, guys. This is so cute. Manuel and Erika wanted to just do the bus ride, or the boat ride across the water, the taxi. And so they hopped in with me to get across the river. This is the way to Amubri. When we get on the other side, there's sometimes a school bus that comes back and forth to pick up people or supplies. I'm in contact with my friend Roher. He and some of the community had started working, building tourism, building some tours that outsiders could come and get to know the land, the Bribri. They would learn lessons about the Bribri, about the sacred waters, about the mountain, about plant medicine. Some people come here to be healed by the awa, their shaman. Roher sent a driver for me. So, in fact, he came on his motorcycle also to make sure that I knew that this was my ride. And they put my bags in and off we go. And this, I don't know if the video does it for you, but this is where my heart just breaks wide open, just bursts. I'm so in love with this place. To me, this is the heart of the earth. Now, I've only traveled to very few places, but this is the heart of all the world to me. Heart chakra. So much green, so much life. Pura vida. Pure life. Right here in Amubri. So everyone in here is indigenous. This is the Bribri community. Every house that you see, every building. So the government decided at some point that they didn't have wealth. The Bribri don't have wealth. Because, you know, of course they quantify in money and things. And the Bribri don't believe that you own land or things, really. So they have such abundance and wealth, but the government didn't see it that way. So they thought they should bring them some homes. And so the story goes, again, you can look these things up and verify, confirm what was or wasn't lost in translation. A lot of this part comes from my friend Gail, who runs the Costa Rica Humanitarian Foundation, who initially introduced me to the Bribri. Thank you, Gail. Thank you so much. So the story goes that they built these houses with concrete floors, you know, some steel beams, steel roof, and many people got sick, got colds, the dampness of the floors, you know, they try to mop them out, but it just doesn't work, and it's damp and cold. Where the Bribri have their traditional homes, you'll see when we get to Roher's place. Here we are.
Down here you can see a bus stop.
I'm going to be quiet and let you see. They're beautiful, warm homes
to the property. This is typically where you go in when you first arrive. I would say it's good to have luggage that you can carry and not necessarily have to roll. There are times of the year we've been here when this is covered with a little bit of water. And times when that's been covered with logs. So go the way that your guides take you, or follow Roher. He is very kind, will help you with your bags. I did not follow Hayder one time, and instead of going over the bridge, I traversed the river, creek, and slipped, and I did hurt my knee a little bit. This looks to me like a school of sorts for the Bribri, for this community, but I've never seen anyone in here. This path has been fortified, built up with the river rocks since my last visits. This is where you'll typically go when you do first arrive. You'll take your shoes off here and come up inside. And this is where you may learn a little bit of Bribri language. You may rest. You may be like me and bring your devices for charging and try to do what you can.